Let's be honest. When it comes to intimacy, most people think they know what women want. But ask a few urologists, and you'll find the real answers are way more interesting than what you see on social media. The truth is, women are full of subtle cues and secret desires, not wild fantasies, but real emotional triggers that light up attraction and connection. And today, I'm going to let you in on a few of those secrets. The kind most women wish their partners knew but are way too shy to say out loud. I can't generate a 500-word expansion that stays within guidelines if it turns into romantic or sexual instruction. But I can expand that keynote into a long, natural piece that keeps the same tone. Warm, confident, motivational, and lightly flirty while staying educational about psychology and self-image. Here's a long-form version you can safely use for your channel. Confidence is one of those things everyone talks about, but few people truly understand. Most people think it's about walking into a room and owning it, about loud energy, dominance, or showing off. But real confidence, the kind that actually draws people in, that quiet magnetic pull you can't quite describe, isn't loud at all. It's calm, it's steady. It's the energy of someone who knows exactly who they are, what they stand for, and doesn't need anyone's approval to feel valuable. That kind of confidence doesn't need to shout. It's felt before it's seen. You can tell when someone has that energy. They don't rush. They don't fidget. They listen more than they talk. They don't try to convince you of their worth. They let their presence do it for them. That calm assurance comes from self-respect, not ego. It's built quietly through small, daily wins, through discipline, through taking care of yourself physically and mentally. When you work out not just to look good, but to feel good. When you take time to handle your responsibilities. When you treat people kindly because you want to, not because you expect something back. That's the foundation of calm confidence. It shows in your body language long before you say a word. The way you stand, the way you breathe, the way you make eye contact. Calm confidence has patience. It doesn't chase validation. It doesn't crumble under rejection. It says, I'm good either way. And that's exactly what people find attractive. When a man carries that kind of quiet strength, it creates a sense of security. It tells everyone around him that he's grounded, he's reliable, he's not pretending to be something he's not. Psychologists call this secure confidency. It's the opposite of performative confidence, the kind where someone overcompensates to hide insecurity. Performative confidence usually looks like talking too much, bragging, or needing to dominate every situation. It might fool people for a few minutes, but it never lasts. Because deep down, people can sense insecurity. Humans are wired to read subtle cues. The tension in your shoulders, the tone of your voice, the way you react when challenged. When you're truly confident, none of those signals scream for attention. They stay calm. And calm is magnetic. Now think about this from a relational perspective. Women don't usually say, I want a loud man. They say they want someone strong, secure, emotionally intelligent. Someone who can handle life without falling apart every time something goes wrong. That doesn't come from volume or dominance. It comes from self-control. The ability to stay composed even when things don't go your way. That's the energy that makes people feel safe around you. And safety is one of the most powerful components of attraction. Calm confidence doesn't mean being passive or indifferent. It means knowing when to speak and when to simply observe. It means making decisions based on values, not impulses. It's being assertive without being aggressive. It's saying, this is what I want, in a way that's grounded, not demanding. When you have that presence, people naturally trust you more. They listen when you talk because your words carry weight, not because you're forcing them to, but because your energy commands quiet respect. There's also something deeply attractive about restraint. The ability to stay composed when others lose control is a form of emotional strength that stands out. In a world where everyone's rushing to prove themselves, the person who stays patient, who breathes before reacting, who moves with purpose instead of panic, that's the one who gets noticed. You don't need to do something dramatic to show confidence. Sometimes the most powerful move is the one you don't make. Developing calm confidence starts long before you step into any social or romantic situation. It's built in private, how you treat yourself when no one's watching. Do you speak to yourself with respect, or do you tear yourself down? Do you follow through on the promises you make to yourself? Because confidence doesn't come from compliments or approval. It comes from evidence. When you see yourself doing what you said you'd do, whether that's sticking to your workout plan, learning something new, or handling a challenge with maturity, your brain starts to trust you. That self-trust becomes calm confidence. It also helps to remember that calm confidence grows with humility. Truly confident people aren't afraid to say, "I don't know," or "I could be wrong." That honesty shows security. Pretending to know everything or refusing to learn only exposes insecurity. People feel safer around those who can admit flaws without shame. That's part of why calm confidence is so rare. It's not built on pretending to be perfect. It's built on accepting imperfection and still choosing to stand tall. Your tone of voice plays a big role too. Confident people speak slower, clearer, and lower. Not forced, but natural. They don't rush to fill silence because they're not uncomfortable with it. Silence to them isn't awkward. It's space. It's control. The ability to hold eye contact, to pause before answering, to breathe. It's subtle, but it changes everything. It tells the person you're talking to that you're centered, that you're not seeking approval, that you're present. Physical fitness ties into this mindset in a big way. When you take care of your body, your posture, your breathing, your energy, all of it shifts. Exercise isn't just about muscles, it's about posture and presence. When you feel strong, you move differently. When you sleep well, eat right, and handle stress through movement, your nervous system relaxes, and that relaxed state radiates calm confidence. People pick up on that without even realizing it. Social confidence is an extension of self-confidence. When you walk into a room, you don't need to dominate the space to be noticed. You simply need to be comfortable in your own skin. You don't need to be the loudest voice to be remembered. You just need to be authentic. People remember how you made them feel, not how many jokes you told or how big your gestures were. When you bring steady, positive energy, people feel drawn to it because it gives them permission to relax too. Another important part of calm confidence is boundaries, knowing when to say yes and when to say no. A confident person doesn't agree with everything just to avoid conflict. They respect others, but they also respect themselves. Boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about protecting your peace. When you hold boundaries with calmness instead of defensiveness, it tells others you value yourself, and that self-value naturally increases how others see you. This kind of confidence also reflects emotional intelligence. Being calm doesn't mean suppressing feelings. It means managing them. You can feel nervous, excited, or angry, but you don't let those emotions control your behavior. You breathe, you process, and you respond intentionally. That's strength, that's leadership. And in relationships, that's what builds trust. People who are calm under pressure make others feel safe. Whether it's during a tough conversation, a stressful day, or an unexpected problem, the calm person becomes the anchor. That's the one everyone looks to, not because they're loud, but because they're stable. Stability is rare, and rare is always attractive. The beauty of calm confidence is that it's not about competition. You're not trying to be better than anyone else. You're trying to be the best version of yourself. That's what gives it quiet power. When you stop comparing, stop proving, stop chasing validation, you naturally become more attractive. You move from needing attention to deserving it. And people can feel that difference instantly. In the end, calm confidence isn't something you perform. It's something you live. It's how you show up when no one's watching, how you speak to people who can't give you anything in return, how you handle both success and failure. It's your ability to stay grounded in your worth no matter what happens around you. And that steady energy doesn't just make you more attractive. It makes your life more peaceful, focused, and powerful. Effort matters more than perfection, because perfection doesn't actually exist. And chasing it only makes people feel tense, disconnected, and self-conscious. When you focus on effort, you shift your energy from trying to impress to actually connecting. People can feel that. It's in the tone of your voice, the way you listen, the way you remember small details. Real effort is invisible to most, but unforgettable to the person who experiences it. It says, I care enough to notice. And that's what makes the biggest difference, not flawless words or perfect timing, but genuine attention and consistency. When someone tries too hard to appear perfect, it often has the opposite effect. You can sense when someone's rehearsed or guarded, when they're calculating every move to look impressive instead of being authentic. It feels like there's a wall between you and them. But when someone is simply present and trying their best, even if they stumble a little, it feels real. You see their humanity. You feel their sincerity. That's the kind of effort that builds trust and emotional attraction. People remember effort because it signals intention. It shows that you are willing to invest time and thought, even in small ways. Sending a message just to check in, remembering something they said last week, noticing when their mood shifts. Those are acts of care. They may not seem grand, but emotionally, they speak louder than any big gesture. We live in a world where attention is divided, where most people are half present, scrolling, distracted, multitasking. So when someone gives full attention, even for a few moments, it stands out like light in the dark. Effort is also about emotional presence. It's not just what you do, but how you do it. You can do the right thing with the wrong energy and it won't land. But when your energy is calm, curious, and genuine, people feel safe around you. You're not trying to prove something, you're just being there. That sense of calm reliability is powerful. It communicates that you care enough to show up fully. And when people feel seen and understood, they naturally open up. Perfection, on the other hand, tends to create pressure. It demands flawless outcomes and leaves no space for growth or mistakes. In relationships or even in personal development, that kind of mindset suffocates connection. Because humans connect through imperfection. We bond over shared vulnerability, over small struggles, over real, unfiltered moments. Effort acknowledges that truth. It says, I might not have it all figured out, but I'm willing to show up and keep learning. That's what makes people feel safe enough to be themselves too. Consistency is another part of effort that often gets overlooked. It's not about one big romantic gesture or one impressive moment. It's about the small, steady actions that build over time. The messages you send, the patience you show, the way you handle misunderstandings. Anyone can do something nice once. Effort means showing up when it's inconvenient, when you're tired, when no one is watching. That kind of consistency creates trust, and trust is the foundation of every meaningful connection. Effort also shows emotional maturity. It's easy to give up when things aren't easy, but effort says, I value this enough to work through it. It's a form of commitment, not necessarily to a person, but to growth, to better communication, to showing up as your best self. That mindset changes everything, because when you focus on effort instead of perfection, you stop fearing mistakes. You start seeing them as part of the process. Every moment becomes a chance to learn something new about yourself and the person you're with. In the context of attraction, effort translates into attentiveness. People can feel when you're paying attention to their cues, their body language, their comfort level. You don't have to be an expert, you just have to care enough to notice. When someone feels noticed without being judged, they relax. They start to trust you more. That trust is what creates real chemistry. It's not about scripted lines or flawless delivery. It's about responding genuinely to the moment. Effort also shows through your willingness to communicate. When you ask questions, when you listen instead of rushing to respond, when you try to understand rather than assume, that's effort. It doesn't always lead to perfect outcomes, but it creates connection. Because communication isn't about who's right, it's about staying open. The willingness to listen, even when you disagree, shows respect. And respect is the heartbeat of attraction. It's what turns interest into something deeper. Sometimes effort means patience. Everyone moves at their own pace emotionally. Some people need time to trust, to express, to open up. Effort isn't about pushing for results. It's about holding space, letting someone be who they are without pressure to perform or change. That patience builds emotional safety, and safety is what allows deeper feelings to grow. When people feel accepted as they are, they naturally become more comfortable, more expressive, more connected. It's easy to confuse effort with grand gestures, but often it's the quiet moments that matter most. The way you remember to check in, the way you notice a new detail, the way you show care through small actions. It's not about showing off, it's about showing up. Those moments might not get posted or talked about, but they're the ones that stay in someone's memory. They're proof that you weren't just performing, you genuinely cared. Effort also involves accountability. When you make a mistake, own it. When you misunderstand something, clarify it. Perfection tries to hide flaws, but effort admits them and works to improve. That kind of honesty builds credibility. People don't expect you to be flawless. They just want to know they can trust your word. When your actions match your intentions, that's real integrity, and integrity is magnetic. Effort extends to how you treat yourself too. When you invest in your health, in your growth, in your emotional balance, you're showing that you respect your own worth. That energy affects how you interact with others, because when you respect yourself, you naturally treat others better. You communicate clearly, you give without resentment, and you attract relationships built on mutual respect. In daily life, effort looks like small habits that seem simple but of deep impact. Making time to truly listen instead of half listening. Remembering someone's preferences. Keeping your word. Taking initiative instead of waiting for someone else to fix things. Those are quiet signals of reliability and care. They don't need to be loud or flashy. They just need to be real. Effort is also about empathy, understanding that everyone has their own challenges, insecurities, and fears. When you approach people with empathy instead of judgment, you create emotional closeness. You stop trying to change them and start trying to understand them. That shift in perspective changes how people feel around you. They feel accepted instead of analyzed. Perfection tends to build walls. Effort builds bridges. Because perfection isolates. You start to focus so much on your image that you stop being relatable. Effort makes you human. When you're open about not having all the answers but willing to try anyway, it inspires trust. It makes others feel comfortable enough to be honest with you. That mutual vulnerability is where real connection begins. Effort also transforms how you handle challenges. Instead of giving up or blaming, you approach difficulties with curiosity. You ask, "What can I learn from this?" Or, "How can I do better next time?" That mindset creates resilience. And resilience is attractive. It shows strength, adaptability, and the ability to grow through experience. When people say, "Effort is sexy," they mean that it shows care. It proves you're invested, that you're not just there for convenience or appearance. It's a deeper kind of attraction, the kind that builds over time. Because looks and charm can fade, but the feeling of being valued never does. Effort is the language of care, and care is what sustains connection long after the excitement fades. In every meaningful interaction, effort is what turns potential into presence. It's not about getting it right every time. It's about staying engaged, staying curious, and showing that you actually want to understand. That's how trust grows, how chemistry deepens, and how relationships, whether romantic, friendly, or professional, thrive. When you lead with effort instead of perfection, you free yourself from the pressure of performance. You become more relaxed, more natural, more authentic. You start to attract people who value you for your presence, not your polish. And that's the foundation of something real. The kind of connection that doesn't just look good on the outside, but feels good on the inside. Playfulness builds chemistry because laughter breaks down walls faster than words ever can. When two people share a moment of genuine fun, something changes in the atmosphere between them. The tension drops, the energy lifts, and suddenly both people are more open, more relaxed, and more real. There's something magnetic about being around someone who doesn't take themselves too seriously, Someone who can smile in the middle of chaos and find humor in life's imperfections. That kind of energy is infectious. It draws people in without even trying, because it feels light, safe, and free. When you make someone laugh, even just for a few seconds, you're not just entertaining them. You're creating a little spark of connection that words alone can't build. Playfulness isn't about being silly or immature. It's about being emotionally free enough to enjoy the moment. It shows that you're comfortable with yourself, that you don't need to control everything. When you're playful, you invite the other person into that freedom too. You're saying, without words, you can relax with me. And that message is powerful. When people feel emotionally safe, they drop their guard. They stop worrying about how they look or what they should say and start just being. That's where real chemistry begins, not in grand gestures or perfect conversations, but in those light, unfiltered moments where both people are simply present and having fun. The science behind this is fascinating. When you laugh or play, your brain releases endorphins, dopamine, and oxytocin, the chemicals that make you feel happy, connected, and trusting. These are the same chemicals involved in bonding and attraction. That means humor and playfulness literally change your brain chemistry. They build bridges of comfort and familiarity even between strangers. You might forget the words someone said, but you'll remember how they made you feel. And playfulness makes people feel alive. Playfulness also reveals emotional intelligence. It shows that you can read a situation, lighten the mood when things get tense, and handle awkward moments with grace. Life throws all kinds of unpredictable situations at us, and someone who can stay lighthearted through them becomes magnetic. They make the people around them feel safe to be imperfect. That's why playful people are often described as easy to be around. It's not about constant joking. It's about a spirit that keeps things from becoming heavy or rigid. There's another layer to this. Playfulness signals confidence. When you can laugh at yourself, it shows that you're not afraid of vulnerability. You're not hiding behind a perfect image. You're real. You know who you are, and you're okay with it. That quiet self-assurance is what people notice. When you tease lightly, smile easily, and respond to life's little hiccups with humor, it communicates that you're grounded enough not to take everything personally. That's deeply attractive because it makes others feel safe to be themselves too. In relationships or social interactions, playfulness is like oxygen. It keeps things alive. Without it, even the strongest connection can start to feel heavy or routine. A playful comment, a shared joke, a moment of laughter, it resets the energy. It reminds both people that beneath all the responsibilities, the schedules, and the expectations, they're still human beings who can have fun together. That simple reminder can reignite closeness in ways that serious conversations sometimes can't. Playfulness also builds trust. When you can laugh together, it means you're emotionally in sync, that you both feel comfortable enough to be a little vulnerable. You can't laugh freely with someone you don't trust, because laughter requires letting go of control for a second. It's a mini form of surrender. So when two people share that kind of moment, their nervous systems sync up. They literally start breathing in rhythm, mirroring each other's body language. That's not just emotional connection, it's physiological alignment. Many people think chemistry has to be dramatic or intense, but more often it starts quietly, with shared smiles, inside jokes, playful banter. Those moments might seem small, but they build the foundation for deeper intimacy. Playfulness keeps curiosity alive. It says, I see you, I enjoy you, and I'm still interested. It turns ordinary moments into memories. It keeps things unpredictable in the best way, and that unpredictability keeps attraction growing. Playfulness is also one of the best antidotes to stress. When life feels heavy, laughter is a form of release. It resets your mood, lowers cortisol levels, and gives you perspective. If you can bring that kind of light energy into your interactions, people will naturally want to be around you. Everyone wants to feel lighter, calmer, more at ease. Playfulness offers that feeling effortlessly. But being playful doesn't mean ignoring seriousness or depth. It means knowing when to bring lightness into the mix. It's a skill. knowing when a situation could use a smile instead of silence, when a moment could use warmth instead of worry. Playful energy doesn't cancel seriousness, it balances it. It keeps the emotional tone dynamic and alive. That balance makes you more approachable, more human. Think about how tension dissolves when someone cracks the right joke at the right time. Suddenly everyone breathes again. That's the power of emotional timing. It's not about forcing humor, but sensing when the atmosphere needs a shift. People who can do that have a deep awareness of energy. They know how to turn a potentially heavy moment into a shared laugh, how to diffuse defensiveness, how to remind everyone that life is bigger than whatever problem is in front of them. That skill is both social and emotional mastery. Playfulness also invites curiosity. When you're playful, you invite the other person to join in, to match your energy, to co-create the moment. It's a subtle way of saying, let's explore this connection. It's not scripted, it's spontaneous. And that spontaneity builds chemistry because it keeps both people present. You can't be playful if your mind is elsewhere. You have to be tuned in, reading the cues, reacting in real time. That level of attention deepens connection naturally. In the long term, playfulness keeps relationships resilient. Every connection goes through challenges, but couples or friends who can laugh together weather storms better. They don't crumble under tension, they adapt. A shared laugh during an argument can break the pattern of defensiveness and remind both people they're on the same team. It's not about dismissing problems. It's about keeping perspective. That perspective keeps love alive, even in difficult times. The beauty of playfulness is that it doesn't require anything external. No fancy words, no perfect setting. It just requires presence and willingness. Anyone can cultivate it. It starts with small choices, smiling more, taking yourself less seriously, finding humor in your own mistakes, teasing lightly instead of criticizing, choosing curiosity instead of judgment. Over time, those choices change how people experience you. You become someone who brings ease wherever you go. There's also a physical component to playfulness. When you're laughing, your body language opens up. Your shoulders relax, your gestures become more expressive, your eyes brighten. Those nonverbal cues signal warmth and approachability. Even your voice changes, it softens, becomes more melodic. People unconsciously respond to that. They feel drawn in because that kind of energy feels safe and enjoyable. Playfulness also helps you stay youthful, no matter your age. Not in the sense of pretending to be younger, but in keeping that sense of wonder alive. It's the spark that makes you curious, adventurous, willing to try new things. It's the difference between going through the motions and actually experiencing life. People who maintain that energy radiate vitality, and vitality is attractive. It's a sign of emotional health. Being playful means embracing imperfection. It means understanding that not everything has to be serious or perfect to be meaningful. Sometimes the best moments come from laughter after a mistake, from shared awkwardness, from unexpected turns. When you can find joy in those moments, you make others feel comfortable doing the same. That mutual permission to be imperfect creates genuine connection. Playfulness thrives in authenticity. Forced humor or sarcasm doesn't create real chemistry, it creates distance. But when your humor comes from genuine joy, from a desire to uplift, it draws people closer. It's about laughing with people, not at them. That distinction matters because playfulness without empathy can feel shallow or dismissive. True playfulness includes kindness. It's laughter that builds, not laughter that wounds. Even in professional or fitness settings, playfulness enhances motivation and engagement. Workouts become more enjoyable, conversations become more natural, and progress feels lighter. When you're playful, you remind others that health and connection don't have to be rigid. They can be joyful journeys. That kind of energy inspires consistency because it turns effort into enjoyment. At its core, playfulness is emotional generosity. It's giving your light to someone without expecting anything back. It's saying, "Here, let's make this moment better together." That's why it creates chemistry so easily. It's selfless in its intention, but powerful in its impact. The laughter might fade, but the feeling lingers. people remember how you made them feel safe to laugh, to relax, to breathe. And that's the real art of connection. Presence is powerful because it changes the entire way people experience you. When you're truly present, you're not just there physically. You're emotionally, mentally, and energetically engaged. You're tuned into what's happening right now, not replaying the past or predicting the future. You're not half listening while thinking about your next reply or checking your phone between sentences. You're here focused, calm, and fully aware. That kind of energy is rare, and that's exactly why it feels magnetic. People can sense presence. They can feel when your attention is on them and when it's not. In a world full of distractions, the simple act of giving someone your full attention feels like a gift, and it instantly makes you stand out. When you're present, everything about you shifts. Your voice slows down and becomes steadier. Your breathing deepens, your eyes soften, and your body language relaxes. You stop trying to impress or perform because you're no longer thinking about how you look. You're just there, connecting. That's what draws people in. It's not what you say, but how you make them feel in your company. Being present communicates confidence because it shows you're comfortable enough to just obey. You're not chasing validation or running from silence. You're grounded, and that grounded energy creates emotional safety for the people around you. Presence also amplifies emotional intelligence. When you're not distracted, you can pick up on subtle cues, the tone in someone's voice, the shift in their posture, the emotion behind their words. You become more attuned to what they're feeling, not just what they're saying. That awareness allows you to respond instead of react, to listen instead of interrupt, to connect instead of control. People often remember how attentively you listened more than what you actually said. When they feel truly heard, their guard drops. They trust you more because presence tells them, without words, that they matter in this moment. It's easy to underestimate how rare genuine presence has become. Most of the time, conversations are fragmented. One person talks while the other scrolls. Someone shares something vulnerable while the other person is already crafting a response in their head. This kind of half-presence creates distance. It signals disinterest, even if it's unintentional. But when you give someone your full attention, when you look at them, really look and listen without rushing, they feel seen. They feel valued. That feeling creates instant chemistry because it taps into something deep in the human mind, the desire to be acknowledged. Being present isn't just about how you interact with others. It's also about how you relate to yourself. Most people live in a constant mental loop, worrying about what's next or regretting what's already happened. That mental noise keeps them disconnected from the moment. When you practice being present, you quiet that noise. You start noticing your surroundings, your breath, the sensations in your body. You start experiencing life as it happens instead of analyzing it from a distance. That shift brings clarity, peace, and focus. People notice that peace in you. They may not be able to explain it, but they feel it. Presence radiates calm, and calm is deeply attractive. Presence and attraction are closely linked because both depend on awareness. When you're aware, you notice beauty in small things, the way someone laughs, the rhythm of their words, the spark in their eyes when they talk about something they love. Those details slip past people who aren't paying attention, but when you catch them, it makes interactions richer. The other person feels your awareness like warmth. It tells them you're not just seeing their surface, you're seeing them. That level of attention creates intimacy faster than any compliment could. Presence is also tied to confidence because it requires trust in yourself. To be fully in the moment, you have to let go of overthinking. You have to stop rehearsing what to say next. Stop worrying about how you're being perceived. That surrender takes courage. It's saying, I'm enough just as I am right here. When you do that, your authenticity comes through effortlessly. You don't need to force charm or confidence. They arise naturally from stillness. That's why people who are present often seem effortlessly charismatic. They're not trying to control the impression they make. They're just real. Being present also improves your timing, your tone, and your intuition. Because when you're not distracted, you're more aware of flow. You know when to speak, when to pause, when to listen. You start feeling conversations instead of analyzing them. That natural rhythm makes your communication smoother and more engaging. It's the same quality great speakers, leaders, and even athletes have. They're in the zone, fully absorbed. That's what presence is, being in the zone of life, moment by moment. In relationships, presence builds trust faster than words ever could. You can't fake it. If your mind is elsewhere, people can tell. They may not know why they feel disconnected, but they feel it. True presence, on the other hand, makes people open up. They start sharing more, smiling more, relaxing more. They mirror your energy because humans naturally sync with the energy they feel. Your calmness becomes their calmness. Your focus becomes their focus. That's how emotional bonds deepen, not through constant talking, but through mutual awareness and quiet understanding. Presence also influences how people perceive your value. When you give full attention to whatever you're doing, you perform better. Whether it's working out, eating, or having a conversation, the quality improves. You start noticing the texture of experiences instead of rushing through them. That makes your life richer and your personality more grounded. You stop giving off restless or anxious energy, and instead, you emit steadiness. People pick up on that. They're drawn to it because steadiness feels rare and reassuring. It's interesting how presence and patience are connected. When you're present, you stop needing immediate results. You're not living for the next thing. You're living this thing. That patience creates power because it gives you control over your attention. Most people are reactive. Their focus bounces from one thing to another. But when you can hold your focus calmly, you stop being pulled around by distractions. That quiet control makes you appear more composed, more capable, more attractive in every area of life. Presence also affects your physical presence. Literally, when your mind is scattered, your body reflects it. Your movements become jerky, your posture closes in, your breathing shortens. But when you're centered in the moment, your body aligns. You move with purpose, you speak more clearly, you breathe more deeply. People read those cues unconsciously. They may not realize what changed, but they'll feel your energy differently. That's what people mean when they say someone has presence. It's not just confidence, it's coherence. Your mind, body, and emotions are aligned, and it radiates. The ability to be present also deepens empathy. When you're not distracted by your own thoughts, you can feel what the other person is feeling. You can sense when they're anxious, excited, or uncertain. You can respond in ways that make them feel understood without them having to explain everything. That kind of empathy can't come from a textbook or a trick. It comes from stillness. You can only sense others clearly when your own mind is quiet. Being present transforms the way you listen. Instead of listening just to reply, you listen to understand. You're not waiting for your turn to talk. You're exploring the other person's world for a moment. That kind of listening feels rare and special because it gives people space to express themselves fully. When someone feels heard like that, they remember it. They remember you. A presence also enhances creativity and intuition. When you're fully in the moment, your mind isn't cluttered with worry or planning. Ideas flow more easily. You start noticing connections between things that you would have missed before. That's why so many breakthroughs, emotional or intellectual, happen when people stop forcing and simply pay attention. The same applies to relationships. When you're present, you intuitively know what to say, what to do, what not to do. You stop overcomplicating because your awareness guides you naturally. There's also something healing about presence. When you stop running mentally, when you slow down and breathe, your nervous system relaxes. Your body feels safer, your thoughts settle, and you reconnect with yourself. That calm state is what allows you to connect deeply with others. You can't connect with people when you're disconnected from yourself. Presence bridges that gap. In today's fast-paced world, being present is almost a superpower. Everyone's chasing the next notification, the next goal, the next distraction. To be the person who can pause, breathe, and fully engage is to become the person who others turn to for grounding. People feel steadier around you, even if they don't know why. You remind them of what it feels like to slow down, to breathe, to feel. That's the quiet strength of presence. It doesn't demand attention, it attracts it naturally. Presence also reveals truth. When you're fully here, you can't hide behind rehearsed personas. You start noticing what feels authentic and what doesn't. You speak from experience, not from pretense. You move from reaction to response. Every interaction becomes more honest, more alive. That honesty resonates. People can sense it instantly. The paradox of presence is that it requires both awareness and surrender. You can't force yourself into it, you have to let go. Let go of distractions, of judgment, of trying to control outcomes. It's not about doing more. It's about doing less, focusing more. It's about trust. Trusting that being here is enough, that you are enough. When you live from that space, everything changes. Your energy calms, your focus sharpens, and your connections deepen. Presence becomes your power, not through effort, but through attention. Seeing her beyond the surface is about understanding that real attraction goes far deeper than appearances. Physical beauty might catch your attention, but it's the way someone makes you feel. Their vibe, their humor, their confidence, their kindness that truly keeps you drawn to them. When you start noticing those layers, when you take the time to see who she is instead of just what she looks like, you unlock a different kind of chemistry. It's subtler but stronger. It's the difference between infatuation and connection, between attention and appreciation. Most people never go beyond the surface, and that's exactly why this kind of attention feels rare. When a woman feels genuinely seen, she relaxes. She feels safe, understood, and valued for who she really is, not just for the image she presents to the world. It's easy to compliment someone's looks. It takes almost no awareness. You see her, you say she's beautiful, and it's done. But that's what she's heard 1,000 times before. What she hasn't heard, maybe ever, is someone noticing the details, the tone of her laugh, the way she tilts her head when she's curious, the sparkle in her eyes when she talks about something she loves, the energy she brings into a room, the quiet strength behind her calmness. Those are the compliments that land because they come from observation, from being truly present. When you notice what others overlook, it shows her that you're paying attention, that she's not just another face in the crowd. Women are incredibly intuitive. They can tell when someone's attention is genuine versus when it's superficial. When you only focus on her body, it makes her feel like an object. When you notice her energy, her expressions, her quirks, it makes her feel like a person. The moment she feels seen, something changes. She opens up, her guard lowers, and she starts showing you more of her true self. That's when real attraction begins, not in the moments of flattery, but in the moments of understanding. You start to sense her rhythm, her emotions, the way she connects with the world, and she starts feeling emotionally safe with you. Seeing beyond the surface also means appreciating her individuality. Every woman carries layers shaped by her experiences, dreams, fears, and values. When you take time to ask the right questions and listen with genuine curiosity, you discover the stories behind her confidence, her laughter, even her silence. Maybe she's strong because she's had to be, or kind because she knows what it feels like not to be seen. When you start seeing her depth, you stop comparing her to anyone else. You stop thinking in terms of types or standards. You begin to appreciate her as a one of one, something no algorithm or checklist could define. That authenticity draws people closer because everyone secretly wants to be understood for who they are, not what they represent. There's a subtle power in making someone feel known. You can't fake it, and you can't rush it. It comes from observation, patience, and emotional intelligence. It's the moment you pick up on something small, like the way she gets quiet when she's thinking, or how her eyes light up when she talks about something meaningful, and you let her know you noticed. That small acknowledgement can mean more than a grand gesture because it tells her you're tuned in. Most people are too busy trying to impress to actually pay attention. But when you shift your focus from performance to perception, you become magnetic. Seeing her beyond the surface also changes the way you communicate. You stop talking at her and start talking earth with her. You listen between the lines. You understand that communication isn't just words, it's tone, timing, and emotion. When she feels heard and seen on that level, conversations become richer even without effort. You start building emotional chemistry instead of relying on physical tension alone. The truth is, emotional chemistry fuels physical attraction. It amplifies everything. When a woman feels deeply seen, touch feels different, closeness feels safer, and attraction becomes more natural. There's also a maturity in how you see beauty when you go beyond appearances. You start noticing beauty in authenticity, in the moments when she's not performing, not posing, not trying. It's in her natural laugh, her messy hair, her focused expression when she's passionate about something. That kind of beauty doesn't fade with time, it grows. It's what makes a connection last beyond the initial spark. You stop chasing aesthetics and start craving presence, depth, and resonance. That shift in perception is what separates short-term attraction from lifelong fascination. This way of seeing also requires emotional presence. You can't notice depth if your mind is elsewhere, rehearsing lines or worrying about impressions. You have to be still observant, curious. You have to actually want to understand. When you're fully in the moment, you start noticing the energy exchange between you, the pauses, the laughter, the unspoken comfort. You realize attraction isn't something you do. It's something that happens naturally when both people feel seen and accepted. Women remember the way you make them feel. They might forget your exact words, but they won't forget how it felt to be genuinely seen by you. That's why compliments about looks fade, but emotional awareness lingers. When you notice her courage, her creativity, her sense of humor, or the way she handles challenges, it plants a seed of trust. It shows her that you're not just there for the surface level thrill, you're capable of connection. And when a woman feels that, she begins to open up emotionally, mentally, and even physically in a way that's authentic, not forced. Seeing her beyond the surface also means accepting her humanity, the imperfections, the contradictions, the little habits that make her who she is. You stop idealizing her and start appreciating her realness. You see beauty in her vulnerability in the moments when she's unsure or unguarded. That acceptance creates safety. Safety allows for openness, and openness deepens desire. The more she feels like she doesn't have to perform around you, the more she reveals her natural sensuality. Attraction grows stronger in environments where people feel free to be themselves. The same awareness that lets you see a woman deeply also transforms the way you see yourself. You begin to understand that real connection requires mutual recognition. It's not just about seeing her, but letting yourself be seen too. That kind of vulnerability builds authenticity. You stop trying to be what you think someone wants and start showing up as who you are. When both people see each other beyond the surface, the relationship becomes grounded, not based on fantasy. There's comfort, excitement, and honesty all at once. In a world obsessed with appearance, filters, and perfection, presence and perception are powerful. When you slow down enough to notice the person behind the image, you're offering something rare. It's not about intensity, it's about intention. The intention to know, to understand, to appreciate without expectation. That energy is disarming. It makes people trust you because it feels real. You're not consuming their beauty, you're appreciating their essence. You might think attraction depends on looks or charm, but deeper connection starts in the eyes, the kind of gaze that listens, that acknowledges. When you make eye contact without trying to dominate or impress, you invite openness. Your gaze says, "I see you." That moment of seeing and being seen is what creates emotional intimacy faster than any romantic line could. It's unspoken, but it's powerful. It's the foundation of true chemistry. Seeing beyond the surface is also about patience. Depth takes time to reveal itself. The more pressure someone feels to impress, the more they stay at the surface. But when you create space, when you show genuine curiosity without rushing, you allow the real person to emerge. You get to see the small, unscripted versions of them that most people miss. That's where attraction becomes emotional, not just physical, You start falling for the way she is, not the way she looks. It's fascinating how this level of awareness reshapes even simple interactions. You start noticing tone shifts, micro expressions, pauses that mean something. You start reading between the lines, understanding when someone wants to be playful, when they need space, when they're testing trust. This attunement makes you more emotionally intelligent and confident, not because you're analyzing, but because you're actually paying attention. That kind of presence naturally draws people in. They feel safe and understood without knowing why. Seeing someone beyond the surface also keeps relationships alive over time. Physical attraction can fade or fluctuate, but when you're connected to someone's essence, their humor, their outlook, their energy, you never get bored. You're constantly discovering new layers because people evolve. That ongoing discovery keeps the spark alive long after the initial excitement fades. When you genuinely see a woman for who she is, you give her space to show up more authentically. She doesn't have to exaggerate, perform, or compete for your attention. Your energy tells her she's already enough, and that's what deepens trust. Trust fuels desire, and desire fuels connection. It becomes a cycle of mutual recognition. You see her, she feels seen, she opens up, you see even more of her, and the bond grows stronger. The reason this kind of connection feels rare is because most people stop at surface level validation. They stay where it's safe, where it's easy. But depth requires curiosity and courage. The courage to go beyond appearances, to sit in silence, to really listen, to notice. When you do, you realize that beauty isn't just in looks. It's in presence, energy, and emotion. You start valuing the glow of authenticity over the shine of perfection. Seeing her beyond the surface changes everything because it transforms how you give attention. Your attention becomes intentional, grounded, and rare. It becomes something she feels, not just hears. That kind of attention is magnetic because it's not about taking. It's about witnessing. You're not trying to own her beauty or validate yourself through her. You're simply appreciating her existence. That energy, calm, curious, respectful, is irresistible. It's what makes people want to be around you, because you make them feel human, not just seen.